I should indicate my concern that the Victorian government yesterday entered into contracts in relation to the East-West link. The nature of those contracts has been secretive, with the Victorian government refusing to indicate either the nature of the route or any detailed financial information concerning the contracts. It has entered into them without any electoral mandate to do so, and it's done this in the shadow of the Victorian state election, which is as soon as November. So it is a disgrace that it is seeking to lock taxpayers into a contract which is said to be of the order of $8 billion. The other point I want to make is that it's a really poor set of national priorities for the federal government to be handing over $1.5 billion for a freeway through Royal Park at the same time as we can only find $8 million to deal with the Ebola virus health crisis in Western Africa. And I think that when you look at the terrible misery and suffering happening in Sierra Leone and Guinea and Liberia as a consequence of the Ebola virus outbreak, if we've only got $8 million for that, and yet we've got $1.5 billion to put a freeway through Royal Park, I think that represents a very poor set of priorities.
What do you make of the latest allegations in Nauru regarding sexual assault involving minors?
I'm not familiar with the detail of that, and I think it would be premature for me to comment. Obviously, allegations of this kind need to be thoroughly investigated.
Should Nauru remain open at this time?
Well, there's a continuing arrangement for Nauru to remain open, so I don't think there's a basis until these things are properly investigated for anything to occur on that front.
Mr Thomson, do you have any view on the Parliamentary Committee report into the welfare changes the government wants to put in place?
Yes, I do. I think that it is a terrible piece of policy to say that people under the age of 30 should be denied unemployment benefits or any kind of social security support for 6 months. This effectively means that young people have no protection from the state or support from the state at all, and I think that this puts us in the league of countries which don't have an effective social security system, and frankly, to leave people without any form of social security support is a recipe for misery and hardship for them. And in the other countries where it's been tried, we know what happens. It leads to things like drugs, crime, prostitution, beggars in the streets and so on. So I think it's a really poor piece of policy, and I think that what the Parliamentary Committee has had to say about it is absolutely correct. It is not a policy which is going to provide jobs for young people. All it represents is a punishment of young people. If we're going to do things that help provide work for young people, then by all means let's do it. Let's have the effort and skills and training and the like, but that is not what this does.
We've just had a government MP absolutely backing the coalition's changes and saying he doesn't want to see young people playing Xbox and eating cheesels until 6 o'clock in the morning. So does he have a point?
No one wants to see young people doing that, but this is not a policy which will achieve any different outcome. All it is a recipe for misery and hardship for young people. At the moment, young people are subject to ferocious competition from people who are in Australia on temporary visas which give them work rights. There are over 1 million people in Australia on temporary visas which give them work rights. And in my view, that number should be reduced, and that in itself would help more young people in Australia to find work. But beyond that, there needs to be the effort on skills and training. The fact is that over the years, both governments and the private sector have dropped the ball on skills and training and have wanted someone else to do it. And if we're fair dinkum about giving young people employment chances, we need to boost the investment that goes into skills and training.
We've got new laws that could land journalists in jail for 5 to 10 years if they say anything about ASIO-related material. Are you completely comfortable with that idea?
Well, it's a new proposal, and I guess we'll see if it comes into effect, and these things are still being considered and discussed, how it operates in practice. what we seek to do is to achieve a balance between national security objectives and keeping people safe from terrorist attack and the like, and with freedom of speech and the public's right to know, and these are frequently very difficult balances.
But are you confident that that balance is achieved at the moment? You seem to suggest there needs to be some tinkering. Do you think there needs to be some change to what's been passed by the Senate?
Well, I'm not suggesting at the moment that there needs to be change, but I know that these provisions are the subject of ongoing consideration.
But the MEAA is concerned that stories such as the Timor spy scandal, that botched hotel raid, the practice run there, as well as the spying on Yudhoyono's phone, they may have fallen under that particular legislation that was passed back then. Is that a worry?
Well, I would certainly not wish to see reporting of matters like that the subject of any legal consequence or sanction. Clearly it has been in the public interest for these matters to be reported on and publicly known.
Do you think there's any merit in Australia having a Department of Homeland Security?
Well, this government has a strange set of administrative arrangements in my book, and I don't understand why we don't, for example, have a Minister for Science. So I think that their set of administrative arrangements isn't anywhere near as good as it could be. I don't personally think that a Minister for Homeland Security changes anything or adds anything to the existing arrangements that we have. We have ministers who are responsible for these areas of administration, and I don't think that new name and new title will necessarily change or improve anything. Okay, thank you.